technology wonderful? Look how it brings people together.
That was an ad for this laptop, and no, I'm not sponsored by IBM. This is the ThinkPad 701C. You might have seen it on my channel before when I compared it to the new MacBook, but today we will be taking a more direct look at it as its own product, because it really is worthy of its own video. First off, this thing is small. It's smaller than a modern netbook, smaller than an iPad, and much smaller than the ThinkPad R61 I talked about last week. The reason it can be this small is because of the IBM TrackWrite keyboard, also known as the butterfly keyboard. This works using a sort of track, which the keyboard wants to slide into place on, and a plastic slope on the left hinge that pushes it back up into the laptop before the display hits it on the way down. You can get a better look at this by manually pushing the right side of the keyboard up and left. There is no trackpad here, but why would you want one when there is a track point available? And the track point does have buttons, automatically making the 701C better than the T440 in my book. The track point tip has gotten a bit stiff over its 20-year life, but swapping on the tip from my R61 worked perfectly apart from being a bit taller, which doesn't seem to be a problem. The battery in my 701C leaked and was disposed of years ago, so I have to hook up power and press the oddly placed power slider to turn the computer on. Booting it up shows that it has some bad RAM and needs a new CMOS battery, but interestingly, it has a graphical icon on this screen, which is impressive, as graphics before booting an OS is something that I didn't see done anywhere else until years after the 701C's release. This is even more impressive when you press F1 and go into the fully graphical, mouse-enabled Easy setup. Though it gives you access to the normal BIOS configuration and a screen to set the date and time, by far the most interesting feature is the self-test mode, which tests almost every function of the computer with an easy GUI interface. I honestly can't decide what's cooler here, the keyboard or the BIOS config screen. That's not something I say very often. The OS on this laptop is the latest Windows it can run, which is 95. It's shipped with 3.1 and 98 won't run, though I forget exactly what limitation causes this. Office 97 runs, but it's so slow that it's totally useless. If I wanted to, I could probably dig up some old games or software that runs on Windows 95, but I could probably just as easily run them in a VM or in DOSBox. Apart from the easy setup, none of the software on this computer is particularly interesting. That's why for the rest of this video, I'll be focusing on hardware. Writing this feels a bit like my R61 video. It's a black rectangle, and the main difference on the top is the IBM logo instead of the new Lenovo-made ThinkPad logo. It's not just the top either. Though this is obviously a different laptop with different ports, it looks almost the same as the R61, and that's not an insult to either laptop. The idea of a black rectangular laptop based on functionality, features, and durability first sticks to what the original ThinkPad 700 design is, and is still seen in ThinkPads today, though it has started to deteriorate after the introduction of the island-style keyboard, the removal of hardware volume and ThinkVantage buttons, and the introduction of the buttonless trackpad. The left side has a power jack, the aforementioned power slider, a proprietary connector, modem, and audio. The back is just an IR blaster, and another weird connector. On the right is a PCMCIA port, a hard drive caddy, and an empty hole for the long-gone battery. Now for those weird ports. The one on the left is for a floppy drive or a parallel port, which are separate external units. The floppy drive is especially weird. It is on one end of a removable cable, which looks like it is the same connector on both ends, but the floppy end is actually slightly narrower. Why they bothered to make two parts is anyone's guess. The back port can be used for a docking station or for what's known as a port expander, which I also have. The port expander hooks onto the right side of the laptop and latches onto the left side. To remove it, just pull the lever and it pops off. The port expander is home to a serial and parallel port, PS2, audio connectors, VGA, and, oddly, another power connector. I first thought it was needed to power the port expander, but it's the same port as the power connector on the laptop, and the laptop can be powered through either. Inside the laptop is a 486DX2 processor, 4 MB of RAM, a 1 GB hard drive, and a Chips and Tech graphics accelerator. In 1995, even when this came out, it wasn't exactly quick, which probably explains why a laptop made in 1995 can't run Windows 98. This is also hooked up to a 640x480 TFT LCD display. So the 701C is a tiny, weird laptop, made much weirder and much less tiny once you start using it. Kind of a shame that you need an adapter to hook up anything other than power, audio, and internet. I mean, it's not like any company would ever do that in 2016, am I right? So, thanks for watching. If you'd like to see a full-blown video about how the 701C and the new MacBook are pretty similar in some ways, I mean, it's more than just the ports, then you can actually click here to check that out, since that's actually already on my channel. So, thanks for watching, and until next time, bye.